Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Cosmo Build-A-Figure Wave Kraglin. Pow and welcome back to the channel Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Cosmo Build-A-Figure Wave. As in front of me, we have Kraglin for the very first time in Marvel Legends form. Now, you know me, I always appreciate adding brand new characters to the collection. And Kraglin here has been a part of the Guardians since the very first movie. He was Yondu's right-hand man, and now he has joined the Guardians proper. So I am happy to have him represented in plastic for my collection. So here we have him in the plastic-free packaging, movie reference on the side, on the back a digital render. He does come with a few accessories I'll break down when we get it open. He also has a Cosmo Build-A-Figure leg, so you're going to need him to build Cosmo. There we have Cosmo complete, and to do that you will need to buy the rest of the figures in this wave. Today we will reviewing Kraglin. So, as I said, always happy to add new characters, so let's get them open. So here we have Kraglin out of the packaging with all of his accessories, including the Cosmo Build-A-Figure legs. You know what to do, subscribe to the channel and come back, as we are very close now to building and reviewing Cosmo. Today, it is all about Kraglin, who, as I said, has been a Ravager since the very first movie, and I'm glad to see him in his Ravager gear rather than a matching Guardians uniform. I don't think he's in the Guardians team like proper, he's sort of more like a first mate of their ship, I guess. Maybe like the caretaker of their ship. But he comes here with his look from the new movie, of course, as he got the mohawk at the end of Volume 2. He's played by Sean Gunn, who is James Gunn's brother, and I believe he also did the mocap for Rocket. His other accessories are this Yaka arrow with this translucent trail, which we've already seen with Yondu, but it is a pretty solid representation of what the arrow can do. And he also has a little backup weapon, this tiny little dagger as well. So the figure itself has got pins all over it, so I'm assuming there's a lot of reuse here, even though I don't recognise it. But still glad to see him in his Ravager's gear. So let's zoom in, take a closer look. Zooming in to check out the face sculpt here. Now, you know me, I'm a fan of the digital face printing tech. Sometimes when I zoom in this close through the camera lens, it doesn't do it justice, but I assure you, on the shelf, I think it looks really good here. The likeness is nice compared to Sean Gunn. If I can find an image online, I'll do a quick side by side, but I think in hand it looks spot on. He looks a bit depressed, mind you, but still accurate all the same. And he also has the mohawk as well. So if I zoom out a little bit, you can see he's got the mohawk, which we know he acquired at the end of Volume 2. This is Yondu's mohawk. Now, I would have preferred to have a sort of a finless, a mohawkless version of Kraglin, so I could pair him next to Yondu on the collection. But I understand that this is a Volume 3 version of Kraglin, so it's not inaccurate. I would have just selfishly liked the option, if you will. An interchangeable head here without the mohawk would have gave us collector's option for the shelf, which I would have appreciated. But it is still a nice version of Kraglin all the same. So yeah, I think it's really good. Taking a closer look at his costume. Now, I said earlier, because it had pins, I assumed there was going to be reuse, but taking a closer look at this guy, I don't recognize any of it, so I can't really see where the reuse is. So it seems like this is a new sculpt, just unfortunately still has the pins. Now, you guys in the chat are better at that game than me, so let me know in the comments where the reuse here is on Kraglin. But for me, I think it looks relatively new. The shoulders will go all the way up, bicep swivel, and a decent double joint as well on the elbow. Just a shame about the thick pins. Same with the legs down here as well. Pins, but decent range, thigh cut, legs go out pretty far. Seems like there's a boot cut, but there isn't a boot cut, and you get ankle pivot and rocker. No waist swivel, as you've got this diaphragm joint up top, so you can actually swivel him there, and then it gives you a little bit of back and forward, and then there's no disc and hinge, it's on a dumbbell. So it's like a little bit of old, a little bit of new. It's a bit awkward. I don't understand how they've got so much new elements without it being pinless. So I don't understand that one, but it is what it is. Nicely sculpted detail throughout. You've got that sort of grey undershirt underneath the Ravager's uniform with some blacks and greys on some of the sculpted parts. Not so much on the back, but you can still see the texture there of the uniform. Shoulder pad on this side. On this arm, you've got more of the armoured elements. Both hands are sort of just gripping hands. You get no interchangeable hands with this guy. Then his harness actually has like a little peg on the front of the jacket there. You can see it. And it does come out constantly when you move him around, but it will peg in there. And then he's got a harness for the arrow down here. And then on the back, you can see a little bit of a strap for his knife. So we get a look at the knife. This thing is tiny. Do not drop it, as the carpet monster will get it. I would holster it straight away on the back of Kraglin, as I've already showed you. So that little hole in the holster is to harness his knife like so, and that sits on the shoulder. Now the front of him, you can put the arrow in there, but the Yaka arrow has this sort of translucent trail, which, as I've already said, is a nice representation of what the arrow does. But the unfortunate thing is, if you wanted to holster the arrow like without the effect, you can't really do that, as you've got the awkward effect sticking out. Now you could put the effect in the other way around, so it looks like the arrow just came out. But again, it doesn't really give you those displaying options. I think we should have got a separate arrow. It's only a tiny bit of plastic there, so if we'd got a separate gold arrow just to harness constantly, it would have been a nice choice. But you could clip the effect piece off if you wanted to, but I just think the solution there would have been to get a separate arrow. But you can sort of make it work if you pose it up properly. But again, for me on screen here, it just looks a little bit awkward. And I'm going to be posing him on the shelf quite neutral anyway, so I'd rather have the arrow separately. But if you wanted to pose him up looking like he's about to sling his arrow, I think he's learning. I think he's getting better at it, right, in this movie, because he wasn't very good in Volume 2. But anyway, that's how it works. A little bit flimsy. I would have preferred the separate arrow. So for me, this figure's not bad. Great representation of Kraglin from Volume 3. An interchangeable head without the mohawk, and then a separate arrow as well would have been a nice choice, even though in the first movie he wouldn't have needed the arrow anyway, so I guess that doesn't matter. I would have got rid of the harness, which is a separate piece, and just had the extra heads. Moving into comparisons, this was the first one I wanted to see. It is, of course, Yondu next to Kraglin. Both of them Ravagers, of course. Now, the first thing I notice is that Yondu's Ravager uniform is just a little bit darker in tone than Kraglin's. Again, for me, selfishly, I would have liked these to match to represent an earlier Kraglin, but I understand that's not what this figure is, so I'm just thinking out loud here. And again, when we got Yondu, we actually got him during Volume 2, so he comes with his mohawk, which is the same mohawk that we now see Kraglin wear. They've also got the same shape. But the advantage that we got with Yondu is that we got the interchangeable head to give us the option for a Volume 1 Yondu, which is what this figure should have come with. Kraglin should have also come with an interchangeable head, so we could have the option for an earlier version of Kraglin to go along with our earlier version of Yondu. Again, displaying options is what we need. It would have made the most sense. But is Kraglin taller than Yondu? I can't really remember, but he definitely scales a lot bigger than Yondu, and it's not sitting right for me. But you let me know in the comments below, would you like to see some other Ravagers? Would you have preferred a younger and earlier Kraglin? Well, I guess he was younger as well. But maybe Taserface, that's the first one that comes to mind, but they did have a cast of characters. You could have just got maybe one Ravager body with a couple of army builder interchangeable heads to create a little team there. That's an idea. Here we have Kraglin with some more Volume 2 Guardians with Gamora and then Teenage Groot. And again, Kraglin just seems a little bit too big, or maybe he's just next to two small characters. I can't work it out. Here we have Kraglin compared to the guys of the Guardians from this very wave in the matching uniforms with Star-Lord, Rocket and Drax. Go and check out my individual reviews for these on the channel right now, because I really am impressed with the head sculpts on these figures. But again, Kraglin seems a little bit too tall. Here we have the ladies with Mantis and Nebula. Again, individual reviews on the channel. And then here we have Swole Groot. And all the way up to the top of his mohawk, he's nearly at the top of bloody Groot. So am I imagining things, or am I just missing something? Is Kraglin really this tall in the movies? I need to go and rewatch it now. It's stressing me out. Here we have Kraglin with some of the Who crew with Frogman, Tigra and White Rabbit. And then last but absolutely not least, it is of course Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Cosmo Build-A-Figure Wave. Kraglin. Now, is this the best representation of Kraglin? Well, technically yes, because it's the only one, but it's not a perfect one is what I'm trying to say. There's definitely some improvements that could be made to this figure to make it better than what it is, but it's still a good figure and a good representation of a character that's worthy of an action figure, as he has been around since the very first Guardians movie. I would have just selfishly liked some options to give us different representations of Kraglin. As I said, all it would have took is an interchangeable head without the mohawk and an arrow without the effect piece, and it would have already spruced up this action figure a little bit more. I would have liked mine to pair up with Yondu on the shelf for me personally, and I'm sure there's people out there that agree with me. They associate Kraglin with the Ravagers and with Yondu more than they do the Guardians, but maybe after we've seen Volume 3 we will change our mind and we will be very happy with the version we have right here. But as always, it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you think. You can love it, you can hate it. Let me know in the comments below, and if you like Marvel Legends, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please, 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 hit that subscribe button. Hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at itsdanwho. And don't be shy, I'm on Twitter as well. Tweet me at DanWhoReviews. And until then, people, my name has been Dan W. And I'll, of course, see you on the next one.